All right, welcome everyone to the KRIM Community Spotlight Program. A big thank you to Desert Financial for sponsoring our Community Spotlight Program, where we love to have different organizations, businesses, people on from the community so you can find out what is happening in the Rim Country community. So this morning I'd like to welcome Mr. Kenny Evans of the MHA Foundation and also Hoyt Scabland, the CEO of Banner Payson Medical Center. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Chris.
And how are you both doing this morning?
Excellent.
It is, we're spoiled up here in Rim Country. This weather is incredible, beautiful.
This is not January weather normally, however.
I know. Yes, that is very, very true. But while we'll have it, I think we'll take it and with a smile. Yes, very much so. Again,
just pray for rain,
yeah.
or moisture of any kind.
Yeah, I guess the saying, enjoy the sunshine, but pray for rain. Huh?
There you go.
And again, if you're listening on the radio, you can tune in on the KRIM FM Facebook page, also our YouTube channel or our Twitter page. So we're getting out there with video, and you can actually see us and watch us if you want to do that. Well, this morning, going to be talking about Banner Payson Medical Center and some of the things that MHA Foundation is doing, working with Banner to bring new services or enhance the current services. And also, you had mentioned, Kenny, about facility upgrades too.
Absolutely. I think let's start how we're talking about where we are and the progress we've made over the last 5 years,
Sounds
5.5 years. So
Mm-hmm.
Hoyt started on his journey here about a year into our arrangement with MHA, where we merged with Banner, and when Young Health Alliance ceased to exist and Banner took over the operation of the hospital. And many people have asked us why we chose Banner, and there's been a lot of misinformation in the community about why we chose to go with Banner, even though the ultimate cost to Banner was less than what we were going to receive from another offer. And the reason then and now has been we were looking primarily at a partner in the community, someone who would work with us, who would listen to us, and who would help focus on the healthcare needs of our unique community.
Yeah.
And we chose Banner, and we felt then, and we feel now, reinforced that they were the right choice and are the right choice. You remember, in fact, I think you did some programs back in the early days. I remember you saying things from the dais even about the fact that our prior hospital operator, although a very good operator, had a hospital facility that was charging the highest prices for procedures. Patients were paying the highest price for their insurance, were paying the highest price to anybody in Arizona. And so that was one of the many issues that we discussed with Banner. But the second one, as you just alluded to, was what can we do to upgrade the facilities to address the ongoing and future needs of patients here in the Rim Country.
And I have to say, also the CEOs that have been with Banner and Hoyt, you're continuing right where Lance left off, just to do a great job, and always there's been a focus on the community, and that's what I've seen, and I know a lot of people have seen that, and yeah, there's some speed bumps or things along the way, but something that
speed bump? You call COVID speed bump?
Hey, okay, that's a big one. Easy bump. But there, is always that underlying, focus on the community that, when you look past some of those things, you see that's there, and that's very important, and that really stands out, I think, and what is appreciated by a lot of people at Banner.
Thank you. I have chosen intentionally a not-for-profit career, and it's not to say that for-profit there's anything wrong with for-profit. However, I once actually called to inquire a couple of years back before I came to Banner. I called a search firm and just said, hey, I just am curious. I saw this opening, particular hospital. It's a for-profit hospital, and the search agent said, well, Mr. Scabland, we found that not-for-profit CEOs don't do very well in our organization as for-profit CEOs. You might want to start with a lower level position and then work your way up. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to stay there. And so I think part of that comes from the fact that in the not-for-profit world, those that are drawn to not-for-profit medicine and healthcare are interested in the community beyond their own selves and beyond their own income. Kenny and I were talking the other day, it's important that a not-for-profit hospital generates a margin, a profit margin, because you have to, even though you're not for profit, just like you and I, we have to pay mortgages, we have to invest in a new car at some point, and furniture will wear out or break, and you need the furnace repaired. The same way, you need to be generating a 3 to 5% margin to be able to save for rainy days. And so when the MHA Foundation and Banner were working together, concerned about the prices that the hospital's fees for services to patients were the top in the state, and frankly some of the highest in the nation. That was one of the big risks with Banner, was making the purchase and then trying to analyze how much can you lower the price and still maintain the 3% margin. And so we lowered those prices more than we felt was comfortable, and then found, let's try to lower them again, and we've lowered them 3 times now. We hope we're in the right range for a not-for-profit. So that's something we're very proud of, and I think if I were a community member, that's something that the MHA Foundation and the Mogollon Health Alliance, in their decision to sell the hospital, those that may question that and wonder if that was the right thing to do, I would say tangibly, that act alone of reduced pricing is worth an awful lot to the community and as an individual.
Yes, and that's true whether it's a household, a small business, a large business, a nonprofit. If you're not covering your operating costs and also making enough to replace, and for capital improvements, whatever it is, you're not going to be around that much longer, or you have to decrease services. You're not moving forward, you're kind of going backwards. So
exactly. One of the challenges I've been reading, there's hospitals every week, the last 8 weeks it seems, a hospital has announced closure due to the financial constraints of COVID. And so it's a delicate balance. You don't want to charge more than you should, but you don't want to undercharge, because then it can start to affect the quality of care. And Banner historically has been exceptional at the quality side and balancing that equation. And at Banner, in our conversations with senior leaders at Banner, my conversation often emphasizes the importance of us at Banner living up to the community's expectations, because I share that there are those in the community who were opposed to the sell of the hospital and to Banner. And let's Banner show that that was the best decision that could have ever been made. And that's kind of my mantra is, I love Banner, and I believe in its mission and values. I think they align well with what the MHA Foundation strives for. So my personal goal is to make sure that no one ever feels that Banner's not doing their job. And I'm sure we make mistakes and errors, in individual cases from time to time, but I hope we get better every week and every day and every year. And I think we are. We've got some marked performance measures that are nationally measured, not something we measure ourselves. And we're doing some really good things. And the hospital's always been strong clinically in its performance. And so we've been able to sustain that and reduce prices. That's a unique combination.
Well, that's great. And you mentioned improving, so some of the services that are being improved, Kenny, you want to go into those?
I would like to, but back to a couple of questions, a couple of comments that Hoyt made. Quite often in the community we hear the terms that Banner bought the hospital. Banner didn't buy the hospital. Banner had a merger. A merger agreement is a very common procedure in corporate business. It's not truly a sale. A sale is where you offer something, put it on the table, and you give me something in return that I accept as of value equal to what I'm giving to you. This was a true merger of nonprofits. So the corpus of the basic premise on which we were operating was, we wanted to take Mogollon Health Alliance, that had operated the hospital for some 17 years as the owner of the hospital. His predecessor, Payson Hospital Corps and others through the years had been, had established an ownership of the physical plant there. But the operation had always been done by a corporation, not by not by foundation, not by, it was the corporation that did it. And so the ability to have a merger and acquisition, the terminology is you merge the two entities together and one is acquired by the other. And that's what happened. Banner merged with Young Health Alliance and then acquired its name and moved forward. So it was a merger of two nonprofits. The issue people talk about or tend to talk about without understanding what they're talking about was, as we were going through that process, one of the challenges the former board of Young Health Alliance had was we'd been expending substantial money in the community, as you know, for years. We'd put together the nursing program and what was, the Gila Community College. We had brought a DaVita, center to town, dialysis center to town. We were involved in education, we were involved in healthcare, we were involved in health deeply, and we're spending, a substantial chunk of money, between $1 and $2 million a year on those philanthropic things in the community. And so the concern of the MHA board was, how do we do, if we have this merger and acquisition by Banner, they take over the hospital, they do a great job of operating the hospital. We've taken care of that health care need. What about the education and wellness functions that we're performing? How do we carry forward that $1 million a year expenditure if we haven't got assets? And so Richard Johnson and Gary Cordell, to their credit, sat down and negotiated with the lawyers from Banner and came back. As president, I thought what they were going to bring back to me was, well, we'll pay the $1 or $2 million a year out of Banner. Well, corporately that doesn't work. So the second phase they came back was to look at maybe getting Banner Foundation, which is a nonprofit foundation, not Banner the corporate entity, not Banner Health Systems, but the foundation, to take on that responsibility. They're a remote foundation. They're not here in Payson. They didn't have any interest apparently in that. So it was Richard Johnson and Gary who negotiated a deal which said, in essence, Banner will put X amount of money in the bank. That amount of money, the interest off of that, should be able to then be used to continue the other functions, the philanthropic functions that you've been taking care of in the community over the years. You'll be able to take care of with the interest off of this corpus or this grant that we give to you. So they came back. I said, it's a great idea. They came back with a lot more money as a commitment from Banner Foundation than I thought they would get. But that money then sat there as a corpus, and we used the interest off of that money to then do our school functions, to do the, whatever it was, 35 things that we reviewed with you a few weeks ago.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That we do. This year, $3.2 million worth. At the same time, we've been spending millions of dollars in the community, helping organizations, helping everybody from the wrestling team to the basketball coach to whoever, to healthcare workers, to again the best nursing program in the country. We've been able to grow that corpus, so the core amount of money has grown significantly. It's now up over somewhere between 60 and $65 million, even though we have in the 5 years spent over $5 million in the community.
Wow.
And I'd add, I think in the foresight of the Mogollon Health Alliance and the acquisition merger, part of that merger agreement was that the Mogollon Health Alliance insisted that there not be this continued high quality, but the facilities are dilapidating and extending. And so there's a requirement that within a reasonable period of time that there be a significant investment.
Which brings us to answer your question.
Yeah. So one thing is in the first 6 years with Banner, one thing that Banner does well is make sure that the physicians have quality diagnosing equipment. So imaging, CT scanners, MRI scanners, nuke medicine scanners, ultrasound, etc. And so about $15 million of capital Banner has invested in these first 6 years to make sure that the clinical medicine tools are ideal. And they are. That's one of the calling cards of Banner. Is in a rural setting, you don't typically see that in smaller population areas. And so that's one. And then the other is that we began exploring at the Mohegan Health Alliance insistence, and as part of this discussion and agreement, to look at building a new hospital. And we were in earnest and in all seriousness looked at land, looked at cost. In the end, due to the escalation of construction costs and population, our population, it just, the math didn't make sense. It wouldn't be feasible to pay for that investment. So we've concluded to renovate on site. And so we began to the MHA Foundation, which is our advisory board. They are focused. And so in this first year, that was the key focus. Hoyt, when are we moving forward with design and construction? And I'm pleased to say that with that appropriate pressure, we've dedicated $3 million to architectural engineering and design work. We've selected a healthcare expert architectural firm and general contractor. We intend to use as many local subcontractors as are willing and able to assist in the project, and we've begun in earnest in the last 2 months the design process.
Wow.
We've met with every leader in the hospital now to review space needs plans, wants and needs, right? And there's a difference. And we have some concepts to improve the
You've still got kids at home, right?
In so many aspects of life, you learn that as you get older. Wants and needs are applicable everywhere.
And we will sacrifice some wants so we can focus on some key wants, not necessarily needs, but key wants. So one of those is we want to improve the image of the outside image of the facility. When you approach on Main Street, we don't want you to see the old hospital roof and pipes and the heating. And so there'll be an entry that moves you into a circle drive to drop patients off at the front entrance. It'll open the hospital, it'll be easier to find it. Today, when you drive, if you're a stranger, when I first came, I was like, where is the hospital main entrance? I had to drive around Ponderosa. So we're gonna make some real, for those that are guests to our hospital, rarely, make it easier to find, make it attractive. First impressions are positive. And then functional and efficient. Expanding the emergency department. That's a higher volume than when that hospital was built or expanded in the 90s. And so we want to make everything we can be patient focused and then staff efficient, and it'll help with recruiting.
That's a great, I guess, vision there. Patient focused, staff efficient, staff efficient. Patient focused, staff efficient. That's really good.
It's exciting.
It is.
So that's, to me, as a newcomer, understanding the history of the hospital and wanting to stand on the shoulders of those junior women leagues, the legacy that they started to raise $10,000 and then to get a loan for $25,000 to establish a clinic, deliver babies, which became the hospital, and an ER. Standing on their shoulders, we owe it to them and to the community of the future, the next 30 to 40 years. How do we make sure that we've got a facility that matches the quality of the care that we deliver, and then there's synergy there. And that all began with the vision of let's lower costs, maintain high quality, and let's get a partner who will invest in the now.
And I think that has been the biggest difference is having a partner, having Banner, that has the ability to move forward.
And the willingness to look forward, not to next year, but to the next decade or the next 2 decades. Certainly has been a critical and important part of this great working relationship that I think we've developed with Banner. The other thing, I think, the scoping of this renovation, we're not talking about paint and a billboard out front.
No.
This is a very expensive process. We don't know where the number will come out exactly, but it's in excess of 40 million. So a substantial investment in the community on top of the substantial investment that they've already made. Which brings us to the second topic you asked about. What about the here and now? What are we doing? One of the things that Lance and I have been working on for the better part of a year now is to improve the quality of imaging for breast cancer diagnoses here in the community. If you're, I guess woman or man, that we learned
Yeah,
yesterday, but whether woman or man, if you're someone with breast cancer, generally that means you've had a referral from your doctor to say you've got something that needs to be looked at more carefully. So you go to our current hospital, and we have a 2D mammogram that takes, it takes an image that looks very much like a picture. Basically, it's a flat 2D image of the tissue. The challenge with that is that it doesn't do a very good job of really identifying the difference between certain structures and true, whether it's benign or aggressive malignant tumors. It doesn't really do a very good job of identifying those. It takes much more effort. So generally what will happen, if it's suspicious at all, then the radiologist will refer the woman to a Valley clinic where they get a 3D image down there. Well, you say, well, oh, that's okay, that's better than nothing, but I'm not sure it is, in large part because what you've done is you put this anxiety on the person coming in. They come in already with great anxiety. Just the C word itself scares the bejeeber out of most people. And so they're already anxious when they come there. And now they have a physician saying, well, it may be possibly, perhaps, might be, go get an expert to tell you. And that, then you've got to make an appointment. There's another time delay, and during that time delay, what's the individual who's being diagnosed, what's their mental state? What kind of pressure are you putting on them and on their family as they're going through this anxiety of, is it cancer, isn't it cancer? Why can't I get in right now? Why am I having to wait for another appointment? So we've come up with a solution, and I'll let Hoyt talk about that.
What our challenge is that the 2D mammogram machine is functioning as it's intended, and it's not obsolete. And the insurance companies, Medicare, Medicaid, does not differentiate between 3D mammo payment or 2D. So you get paid the same, and that the investment in a 3D mammography machine can be as high as $500,000.
Wow.
And so they're extremely expensive, and on our population base, you could never pay for that.
Yes.
And mammogram already is not a profitable service. It's an essential service to take care of the community. So as a not-for-profit, that's our goal and our mission. And so I was touring, meeting staff, and I met our mammographer team when I was going through it. Heather Green, I asked her, well, what can we do to support you? She said, get us a 3D mammo machine. I said, tell me more, and learned in a rural setting it's not uncommon to never be able to have a 3D mammography machine. You send them to the Valley. And I thought, let me talk to Kenny. MHA Foundation board. Nothing venture, nothing gain, you never know. And it is about doing something that we couldn't otherwise do. Approached Kenny, and Kenny said, we would be very interested in some type of matching funds to try to create ownership as much as possible. Approached Banner, and Banner said, although this unit may not normally need to be replaced for 6-7 years, we would be willing to put forward the money for a 2D, which we could justify by payments, and we would do it far earlier than normal. And then we approached our staff, physicians, employees, and asked, would you be willing to contribute personally to this? And we were able to raise $11,000 from our team locally.
Wow.
Match that with a sizable funding from Banner and the MHA Foundation board, who is our advisory board.
Yes. Yeah.
Graciously became the catalyst to allow 3D mammography services to be planned and now to come. We've ordered the machine. We received a check from the MHA Foundation to balance off the payment. Banner's strength was the vendor who we thought had given us the best deal. Banner leaned in on that and said, listen, we have 30 hospitals. We do a lot of work with you. We expect a much better price, especially for a rural, and got us a much better deal than we thought we could. So it stretched all of our dollars. And so sometime, I would think, by April, we should have a 3D mammography service and functioning for the benefit of women in this community, Rim Country, and all the communities surrounding. And we learned we perform on average one male mammography for dense breast tissue or signs of cancer. Didn't know that.
Yes.
And I learned that, and so this is a men and women thing, and it saves lives, and we're excited. And this is an example of this partnership and how together we're able to do things in a smaller community that's not common for the benefit of residents here, for their quality of life and health.
And you're seeing more and more examples these days of partnerships, especially in smaller or rural communities, that allow organizations, municipalities, businesses to accomplish things that they wouldn't be able to accomplish on their own. And it's to the benefit of the community and all of the residents in the community. And it's wonderful to see more and more examples like this.
Yeah, that's American way.
It
used to be. And it still exists here in Payson.
It used to be, and you do see it more in rural America,
Amen.
and especially in Payson. And that's what so many people love about Payson is, and they might not realize that, but that is a component. You know, when they say, "Oh, the people are wonderful." Well, it's the people that are in these organizations and businesses that are creating these partnerships, that are working together, and that's all part of it. If it wasn't for great people, then and people having the willingness to do this, it wouldn't happen, because it's not going to happen, you know, with businesses saying, "Oh, let's," as you said, the difference between you know, a corporation and a nonprofit, or a business and a nonprofit, for-profit. The for-profit maybe that's not their main focus. It's just different.
Exactly. I would think it's about synergy, and I think it seems so disappointing to me is that you rarely can maintain every friend when you're trying to do something. If you do nothing, you can be friends with all. But if you move forward, even if your interests are to benefit all, it's hard not to reap criticism that's not necessarily deserved or understood.
Yeah, and then I can speak from firsthand experience. There's a little saying that if you you know, want everyone to like you, sell ice cream. Well, I sold ice cream for a long time, and still not everyone liked me. So it came down to, if you're doing something, you're going to be criticized. But
people will even complain about free food.
Yeah, I know, or you know, ice cream, and I know.
But there's more good in this world still than there is that's not good. So
yeah, but the majority of people, I tell you, ice cream did make them happy. But there's even that small percentage that weren't happy when they had ice cream, and
I'll take their ice cream. I love ice cream.
That I just had to wonder about that. But well, thank you so much, Mr. Kenny Evans, president of MHA Foundation, and Hoyt Scablin, CEO of Banner Payson Medical Center. Thank you for taking the time to come in today to share all of that information with listeners, and it's great to get you know, information straight from the source. That's what we love. We love it here, and that's why we love having you both on. So
thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our Community Spotlight program. And let's hear what the weather's going to be like today. I can tell you, I think we're going to have some sunshine today and probably the rest of the week, but let's hear from the National Weather Service.
Now here's the Cape Rim weather forecast for Payson and surrounding areas.
Yeah, I have to turn this off because yesterday I let that go.